right? So it's not a new thing, right? It's not a current thing that we are fighting. Dora Akunyili, may her soul rest in perfect peace. This was her fight as well.
Yeah.
And before her, this fight had always been. And right now, in January, NAFDAC recovered fake expired drugs worth 1.3 billion.
Yes.
Last year, it was fake food products worth 120 billion.
Yeah.
In March, it was 1 trillion of fake drugs discovered in Anambra.
Last month, there was still some.
Exactly. And you know what? You need to give kudos to NAFDAC because they are doing their best. They conduct these raids, quarterly. They go to these places, they try to get the work done. But then the problem is bigger than us, right? Because I like to say that the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria is like a very delicious huge pot of soup with many obstacles. You understand? And everybody wants their chunk of meat. Right? Do you know the worth of the pharmaceutical industry right now, just in Nigeria alone?
No, what is it?
It's about $1.8 billion.
Wow.
$1.8 billion, and it is still growing. And not to come off as religious or anything, or try to go into a spiritual aspect, but you see what the Bible says, that the love of money is the root of all injurious things. It is very true. And the problem with fake drugs, I believe, starts with the money. There are a lot of players, a lot of people whose job it is really, like when they wake up in the morning, they wear suits, they go to their office, is going to go and import fake substandard medications. And then there's also the production of it in the country, right? So it's not just who is producing, the people who are producing, the people who are importing, right? And it is all about the money, because everyone is trying to get their share of that $1.8 billion industry.
So where I also have a problem is the fact that even when you bring in these drugs, for the ones that escape NAFDAC, right, the ones that escape NAFDAC's notice, even when you bring in these drugs, they take them to pharmacists.
They do.
To sell. Is there no due diligence by the pharmacy to ensure that these drugs are checked, and we should be sure that we're buying the right thing, so that we don't.
That's the thing. There should be, and that is the way it is. As pharmacists and in pharmacies, we have a responsibility to the patients that we serve to get medications that will not kill them, that will not cause harm to life. But the problem is the supply chain, the pharmaceutical supply chain, is deeply, deeply fractured and has so many openings, so many gaps for these fake medications to come through at every single stage, right from the supplier. And one major problem that we have is the prevalence of open markets, open drug markets. There are open drug markets in Idumota, for instance, in Lagos. There are drug markets in Aba, in Onitsha. These people that are selling these medications, there is no regulation for them. They are not registered wholesalers. They are not regulated by anybody.
So for proper understanding, what is an open market?
An open drug market is basically, think of any market that right? But this is primarily for drugs. The people who are selling these drugs are not pharmacists. They have no clinical knowledge. They do not have any relation to the pharmaceutical or medical field at all. They are just businessmen selling medications. So you go to these drug markets, and the storage condition of these medications, obviously they are not pharmacists, they are not doctors, they are not anything. They do not know the impact of storage on medication. So they will store it in these warehouses with the heat, with rats and moisture and all of that. They display things out in the sun, they begin to degrade, they still sell it. There's nothing you can do. They are not being regulated. So the medications that are coming in, or that they are selling to people, you don't know if it actually has the API or the active ingredients in them. That is where the fake, in fact, these open drug markets, these are where fake drugs thrive. And the problem now comes with pharmacies or pharmacists who, whether because of laziness, whether because of money, I always feel like the primary motivation is always money. And it's not really the pharmacists themselves, but mostly the people who own the pharmacies, who are just there for profits. Half the pharmacies that are open, because like you could walk out on the streets now, you're going to see like maybe 2 pharmacies on the streets. Half the pharmacies owned are not owned by pharmacists. They are owned by business people who get pharmacy, like a pharmacist license, and open a pharmacy, and what they want is profit.
I don't understand. Why would you sell a pharmacist license to just anyone who doesn't have knowledge in medicine, is not a doctor, is not a pharmacy, nothing?
You can sell your pharmacy license to a retail pharmacy for like 1.5 billion, to a hospital maybe for like 3 million, for industry maybe for like 5 million. And if you ask why, ask me how much pharmacists are paid.
How much are they paid?
You could have a pharmacist working for like 900 naira per hour.
Right?
Imagine that. You could have a pharmacist, a person who has gone to school, studied this thing for let's say 5 years. Okay, 5 years in Unilag.
Yeah.
You studied pharmacy for 5 years. Some people have even PharmD self. That's doctorate in pharmacy.
Yeah.
That is 6 years. You come out, you do internship for another 1 year. You go to NYSC, you're serving, and you come out and you're earning 900 naira per hour. As per you would work for 1 full hour and you cannot even buy 1 shawarma as a pharmacist. So when you ask why would they be willing to sell, why not?
Wow.
Again, it's all about the money.
Okay, so someone who is not a registered pharmacist, who knows nothing about the medical line, gets a license, opens a pharmacy. Nobody's coming to regulate, to check, to find out, okay, before you open this, you need permission or nothing.
The rule states that you need to have a pharmacist on seat in your pharmacy for you to run that pharmacy. It's fine if you want to go and buy the license, it's fine, but for you to run that pharmacy, you need to have a pharmacist on seat.
But do they?
That's the question. Do they?
Do they have pharmacists on seat? I mean, come on. How many people listening to me now can tell me with their full chest that you enter a pharmacy to buy drugs and there's a pharmacist, whether they're wearing their raincoat or not, I don't know. But there's a pharmacist in that pharmacy that will ask you questions like, okay, what are your symptoms? Why do you need these drugs? Or they will even go ahead and tell you, oh no, this does not require you to get these drugs. You should go for these drugs. You know, I think that the only time they do that is when they just want to sell something that is much more expensive to you. And you know, money is also a constraint for people. That's the purchasers right now.
Exactly.
Right? So someone, let me use myself for example. I want to go get cough medicine. Right, I know syrup, right? Exactly. That's the one I'm used to. So I come and then I describe, oh, I'm getting like discomfort in my throat, I cough and all of that, blah blah blah. And then I say, give me this one. And then you'll be like, take this one. I'm like, okay, how much is it? You say 6 million. How much is yours? Just 1,000. I'm like, please give me this one. You know, I'm like, just give me this one, please. Is it not cough medicine?
All is cough medicine.
All is cough medicine to do the same thing. Why would I have to spend 6 million on this one when I can get this for 1,000 naira? Do you get? So I'm telling you this because that's something I've done. I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
Let's take some break. When we return, we'll talk about how we can identify a fake pharmacy and a real one, because apparently there's fake pharmacy.
Lounge FM, welcome home.
So, really, the problem of getting medications, the first thing you want to make sure of is that you're actually getting from a reputable registered pharmacy, right? Yeah. Because with that registration comes accountability. If someone purchases something from this particular pharmacy and suffers an adverse event or an adverse drug reaction, it can come back and hold you. It can report you to a regulatory authority and say, hey, what did you sell to me, right? So that regulation promotes that accountability. For you as an individual to know the pharmacies that are safe for you to purchase medications from, you want to look out for the license. Every pharmacy is mandated by PCN to display their premises license and the license of the superintendent in a place where anybody walking in
can see it.
Right? If you have multiple branches, make photocopies of that license and display it in all your branches. So if you walk into a pharmacy, quote unquote pharmacy, and you cannot see immediately that license being displayed, you ask, and you're asking for a pharmacist, and they're like, farm is not on seat, or there's no, please run.
Pharmacy is not on seat.
Actually run away, because imagine you're already sick before you come to a pharmacy, right? Or you have a particular health ailment. It's not going to kill you, but you need to get better. You now go and get a medication, and then it is now that medication that will either worsen your illness, cause something else that might even be worse, or kill you. And we can't have that happening.
I mean, I've heard stories like that happen,
and it is so disheartening. There's one particular story that I always tell because it touches me so much. When I was at the Drug Information Center at Luth, there are these things we have, they're called yellow forms, pharmacovigilance forms. Basically, when people report having side effects or experiencing very
particular drug
from a particular drug, you document that, you write it down, and then you send it across to NAFDAC for them to investigate. Right?
Okay.
There was this particular case. It was a young boy. I can't go into any of the details because obviously patient confidentiality, but it was a young boy. What was his problem? He had malaria, or the mother wanted to go and buy a malaria medication for him. And it was not a popular brand that she bought. It was just, a cheap one, what's available, right? And what are you treating? Malaria. You can get most generic malaria medications for less than 1,000 or around 1,000 or less than 2,000 naira, right? He just wants to make her little boy well. Because of that medication, from malaria, this little boy came down with what is called Steven Johnson syndrome. Have you heard of SJS before?
No.
I would not wish SJS on my worst enemy.
Oh my God.
It is necrotizing, like it kills tissue. When you see a person that has SJS, your skin is peeling, it is raw, it is red. Your lips, your tongue, your eyes, your nostrils, every surface that is exposed, and even within. And if you don't get proper treatment, you will 100% die from malaria. From malaria. That boy ended up spending close to 6 months in the hospital. Now think about that. You got this medication because you did not have money. And then from that, you end up treating, your son is battling for his life in the hospital. You end up spending over 100 times more what you would have spent for a malaria medication. These are the dangers of these fake and substandard medications. That's the reason why you need to be vigilant.
So there is the aspect of that. Then there is also just taking drugs because you think this is what the drug does. For instance, antibiotics.
Exactly.
That's another drug that is abused.
If I begin to talk about the misuse and abuse of particularly in Nigeria, right? Somebody has a little diarrhea. Next thing they are going to the pharmacy. They want flour. Okay, I can't say the name.
Yeah.
That flour.
Flour. Flour. Yeah.
Why are you getting flour? You have diarrhea. Why are you getting that? That is an antibiotic. And the danger of that comes about that these bacteria they are highly intelligent. They adapt like this.
Bacteria are intelligent.
I am fascinated by bacterial viruses. Highly intelligent. No, they adapt like this.
Yes. So something that's working for you, all of a sudden just stops
working. And now when you now have or contract an infection where you need something to actually work for you, it doesn't work. You now have to start using more high, more potent antibiotics. And you want to remember that every medication is a poison. Let's be honest with ourselves. Every drug is a poison. Just the dose makes the poison. And some of these, particularly with antibiotics, the higher you go in the classes, the worse the side effects can be.
So let me ask, because there are some persons that may not even know the work of antibiotics. So when exactly should you take antibiotics? What does it do for the body?
Antibiotic, biotic, bacteria, they can't call it antibacterial because antibacterial are for surfaces outside the body. Within the body, there are antibiotics, basically to treat bacterial infections. And you as a person cannot just wake up one morning and be like, oh, I have a bacterial infection. You need to run a test. You need to get a culture done to know not only if you have a bacterial infection, but what bacteria is causing the infection. So you know what medication to use for that particular, is it anaerobic? Is it aerobic? What you understand? You need to know what class of antibiotics to use for that particular bacteria for it to not adapt to the antibiotic.
So when we were outside before we came in, we were talking about bacteria that's causes stress or something like that. When we're talking about stress, and you said that sometimes we just have bacteria in our body, and I can't get the explanation.
We were talking about malaria, and I was like, sometimes you could just have a systemic infection.
Yes.
There are a lot of bacteria.
Yes.
In the body, you could just have a systemic infection. You just contracted something, right? And it's giving you those same symptoms of fever, of headache, of chills, of cold sweats, and then you just be like, malaria. It doesn't work that way. As Nigerians, we do need to cultivate a culture of running tests. It's fine if you don't want to go to a hospital, but run a test at least. Most pharmacies, all pharmacists, are trained to be able to interpret these test results to know, okay, so this is sensitive, this is not sensitive, okay, this was present, this is not present, okay, this is what you should take. We are trained to do that.
To interpret, not to run
the test, to interpret those test results. You want to run the test, you go to a lab, right? I know that when I was at Divine Care, the pharmacy is on the first floor. There's a lab on the second floor. Just go up, run the test, come down, so that we're not just prescribing medication, particularly antibiotics. We're not just prescribing things and then worsening the antibiotic resistance, because we do have antibiotics right now. I think is it syphilis? I think there's antibiotic resistant syphilis. Or is it syphilis or gonorrhea? One of those STDs. You know what it means for your STD to not be treated by antibiotics again? What are you going to do? There is a rise of MRSA.
Yeah.
Right. Multi-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Multi-drug resistance Staphylococcus aureus. Why? Because of antibiotic misuse and abuse, particularly in Nigeria. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We will go on a break very shortly, but when we return, one of the things we need to touch on is what pharmacists can do to help curb the situation. Because, of course, NAFDAC is trying. They are doing what they can do to help manage the situation. But as pharmacists, because you pharmacists, you are our first... What do they call them now?
Yeah, first line of defense, first responders.
Yeah, so you're like the first persons we go to when we have issues. I don't know what fake drugs are. I don't know how to tell if a drug is working or not. It is now left to you as a pharmacist or whoever is there attending to me, which of course shouldn't be, because I know, most pharmacists in Nigeria, the people there, they are just sales girls. Exactly. They are not trained pharmacists. So if they know, they will come and tell them, see, this session is for kata and cough. This session is for headache. This session is for stress. And sometimes they even go as far as labeling the thing. So that you now go there and say, okay, this is stress area. You go, how much is this one? This one, what does it do? Okay, this one, okay, it's cheaper. This one, just cheap. So you're not even asking, is this harmful? Because some drugs can have certain things that will start reacting on your body.
Exactly.
I know that there was a time I used to buy particular drugs and then I would take it and then I'll start having rashes.
Exactly.
Right? So anytime
Yeah.
there was one time I went to the pharmacy, I was like, anytime I take these drugs, I get rashes.
So that's an adverse drug reaction. That's the side effect.
Yes.
Your pharmacist should be able to be like, okay, so this is the reason why you're having this rash.
They
Let's
did
change
explain.
this.
Yes,
Exactly.
he explained and he told me to stop getting the drugs. It was intentional that I went there because I know they had pharmacists there, right? So I wanted to be sure. Okay, why do I always get rashes when I take this drug? And I was like, okay, it's like your body system is this. So I was okay, just don't buy this anymore. You can start taking this one instead. So yeah, let's quickly take a break. We'll be back soon. Somebody asked a question and they said that regarding getting a certificate and license to open a pharmacy, how do you know that the license is not fake?
That's a very, very smart, very beautiful question. The thing is, you can check, right? So we're not just dishing out licenses and then everybody to their owner. Everybody can actually check. The website that you can go to, there's a PCN Core app, right? So you go to pcncore.azurewebsites.net. You can check for a premises, you can check for an individual, like an individual pharmacist license. You check for that, you check for the premises. So you know that, okay, these people are actually licensed. This is not just some random numbers generated to put just so that people can feel comfortable. So yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So you now know what to do if you want to cross-check to know if this particular license or certificate is actually real. Nigerians, we need to start doing our own due diligence. We're so laid back and so
No, the thing is,
tired.
if you want to, right? If you want to be like, you imagine someone walking into a pharmacy and they're like, I would like to see the premises license of this. Everybody starts to look.
You think check this person a regulator.
Exactly. What's going on? Let me see the let me see the number. Okay, let me cross check. This one, sure you know they overdo. But this is our lives we are talking about. Please, by all means, overdo. Right?
I mean, they should even paste it on the counter,
No, it is
also
exactly.
So that
it should be clearly seen by anybody coming into the pharmacy. That is the regulation by PCN.
PCN should also do their due diligence and go to these places and ensure that these licenses are pasted.
They do. We just don't really hear about it much, and we understand that it's like a mommy and daddy kind of thing, right? Where it's like, let daddy come, and daddy in this case is NAFDAC. Let daddy come back. You know that
so
if NAFDAC decides to come to your pharmacy, let's hope that you have all your things in order. So it's fine. The organizations that we have, the societies that we have, they are trying their best.
You talked about storage just before we talk about what pharmacists should do. You talked about storage of these drugs. Now, after these drugs has been dispensed to different pharmacy, what should be the storage consideration? What should that four-wall where your drugs are be like? What should it feel like? Should there be air conditioning? Should there be? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't even understand.
I 100% understand. That's also a very beautiful question. You know that you see that thing that they always write. I don't know, when you get medications. Do you read through the packs and see some of the instructions?
What they do?
You read.
You do?
What?
Oh my God!
You say store in what?
A cool and
Store
dry.
in a cool and dry environment. Store in a cool and dry place. So you shouldn't have a situation where a pharmacy is blisteringly hot. There are three main things that degrade medications: light, temperature, and moisture. Right. So those three things are the major causes of degradation of medications. So your pharmacist should have like air conditioning, or if you can't afford that, at least it should be well ventilated to allow for the circulation of air. It shouldn't be packed and choked. It should be enough space.
So let me bring in another angle. It's not like you sell drugs 24 hours. At some point, you have to go home. And we know the light situation in Nigeria. I cannot leave my AC running for the whole night. So it is possible that 99% of the drugs we take, they all get substandard or at the point destroyed. And they still sell them.
These are the issues. You see, we always say, that expiry date that we see on our medications, when you're in Nigeria, just like backdate it by like
if they say it will expire November 30th, 2025,
Please,
just know that it's expiring
in August, maybe
August
or
or January 2025. Because
please.
it's crazy. Because if you tell me store in a cool, dry place, I can't leave my AC on, and I definitely cannot leave my window on.
Exactly. For their medications that we call cold storage medications,
Yeah.
they need to be refrigerated. Sorry, not refrigerated. Oh yeah, refrigerated, not frozen, refrigerated. So are you going to leave your fridge on overnight? And then with cold storage medications, you don't want a situation where it's cold and then getting warm and then getting cold and getting warm, because that will cause problems, to cause maybe precipitation of the active ingredients. We don't have control over this, because that is the country that they have put us in.
So sometimes you can't even blame some of these substandard drugs on the producers or even the people that bring them into the country, because if I say governments now, they will say you're always blaming government. But government!
No, but government, when you look at the pharmaceutical supply chain, right, there are different elements in the pharmaceutical supply chain. Overarching everything is government policy and adaptability, right? Government policy and adaptability. And we don't have that to the extent that we should. I'm not saying we don't have it completely,
But the required extent.
to the required extent to actually elicit the actual change that we need. We don't have that right now, and that is the problem.
That's a major problem. I mean, when you talked about leaving the windows open, I just laughed because
Thieves.
I've had situations where some of the day hospital patients day hospital, they sleep, they charge phone for side. Somebody from window, they just collect the phone. Hospital. There's nothing we can do. Hospital, oh.
It's crazy.
And you're wondering who did, is it the gate man? Who did it? Who do you want to call? Is it the cleaner? Who tapped my phone? Who removed it from charger?
So, like, these are the things. It's just the country we find ourselves in.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So we have all of these challenges. We have all of these problems. But what can we do as pharmacists
Okay.
to also join in the fight
Okay.
to curb fake and substandard drugs?
With the fight against fake drugs, it's top to bottom, right? So let's start at the bottom, and the bottom in this case would be the consumers, the patients. I do not personally feel that the onus of fighting medications or being able to identify fake medications should be on the patients, because you're already sick, you're already suffering, you just want to get better. You shouldn't come and start having this fear of, oh my god, is this medication I'm even going to get going to kill me? That shouldn't be. But for you to be safe, we always say you get a medication, number one, check for a NAFDAC number.
Okay.
Check for a NAFDAC number.
You cannot fake a NAFDAC number.
You can fake it. Hold on.
Ew.
Because something that people can do is, again, I told you could just take a pack that already has the NAFDAC number and remove something and put something inside. But there are also means that we can, circumvent that. I could talk about all of that if we have time. But first, check the NAFDAC number. The next thing you can do is, when you check that NAFDAC number, NAFDAC provides resources for all of these things. Go to greenbook.nafdac.gov.ng. That is Nigeria's registered product database.
Okay, say that again.
greenbook.nafdac.gov.ng. Nigeria's registered product database.
Okay.
So you get that NAFDAC number. Go and check. Is this registration number, does it match with this medication? Are you actually registered? What is your status? Were you registered before? And then something happened and then they took away. Is your registration active? You can check it on that particular website. So that's the first thing. Check the NAFDAC number. Always check the expiry dates and the production dates. Right. So that is the extent of what the person can do. We now take it one step up. You come to the pharmacist. On the pharmacist end, with procurement, we need to take responsibility for this. If your boss is telling you, go to open market, just go to Idumota and go and buy medications. I know it is difficult to say because already it's not as if they are paying us well. But try and put your foot down and say, there are ways by which we can get, cheap quote-unquote medications without compromising the safety of our patients. Lagos State has a medical store at Oshodi.
Okay.
You can procure medications from there. There are so many organizations. There's drugs. Let me not start promoting anybody, but there are many organizations that are wholesaler. They are registered wholesalers that you can procure. Most of them will even come to your pharmacy and be like, please come and buy medication from us. They are registered, they can be regulated, there's accountability. As opposed to, because it's a supply and demand thing, right? If there is no demand for these medications at these open drug markets, then there is no incentive to sell these medications at these open drug markets. So on our end, we need to take that responsibility. Stop patronizing these people because you know that you are putting the lives of patients at risk. The second thing is education. Like what I'm trying to do here, if you go to a pharmacy, there should be flyers, pamphlets, just educating patients on what exactly you should do, what exactly you should look out for, the different types of, tamper-proof seals, how to detect if something has been tampered with. These are things that, you can put it on a flyer, make it really colorful, make it really bold so that people can see it, or maybe take home with them and they can have it, even if they don't read it word for word, but just in the back of their mind, they have it there and they can check for it. The next thing is warning people. It's not every shop that sells medicine that is a pharmacy. They are literally chemists.
Even Mala, they say.
Mala is carrying inside baskets and selling. The fact that you are selling medicine does not mean that you should buy the medicine.
Oh God.
You understand? Only get medications from registered pharmacies, registered drugstores. Because if you don't, then whatever you see is in your own hand. And when you go into that pharmacy, like I've said, make sure that there is a pharmacist on seats selling you that medication, not a seller, not a sales girl. There needs to be a pharmacist in that pharmacy. If there is no pharmacist, run. If there's no license, run, right? And then there's also, the community aspect of it, being able to organize outreaches. It's mostly low-income areas, neighborhoods that suffer the most at the hands of this fake drug. Because someone in Lekki is not pricing medication. If you go and amoxicillin clavulanate, it is 40,000. What is 40,000? They will buy now and go.
People in Lekki that will price.
Leave those
ones are living.
Leave those ones. That's what I don't have focus for now.
All sorts of people now are living in Lekki.
Finish strong, hustlers never fade on Lounge FM.
We're talking about what pharmacists should do.
Right? Okay. So we're talking about the community aspect in low-income areas, being able to organize outreaches to provide free medications. So this medication.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hi, good morning. What's your name? Hello, what's your name? Okay, call me back.
So providing these free medication, then on the regulatory aspect, right? We need to look inwards. We as Nigerians, really, I always say that our colonizers did a big one on us because there's nobody that loves the white man more than a Nigerian, right? We need to look inwards, begin production of our own APIs or finished products, because then we can regulate what we consume. And we've already taken this. I believe EMZO is on track. There was like a $23 million API production plans, which they should be finalizing this year. That is a step in the right direction. There needs to be synergy, right? Between, for instance, if we are getting 50% of our generics in Nigeria from India, NAFDAC collaborates with whatever drug regulation agency is in India to provide a white list of manufacturers that are safe to purchase from. So we're not just purchasing from anybody and then bringing in fake or substandard products into the country. And then the last thing, the shutting down of these open markets. They shut down these open markets, but then don't just shut it down, because that's another fundamental problem with Nigeria. We always put the cart ahead of the horse. Abi, how do they say it? You don't just shut it down. You shut it down. You understand? There's going to be a gap in the markets. There's going to be a need. So all the people who are patronizing them, where do they go to? You need to make sure that it is easy for them to get medications that they need for their pharmacies. It is affordable, it is convenient, and it is consistent. Not a situation where someone is trying to purchase medications from the government and is like, sorry, we don't have medicine today. Or, you have to like join a waiting list and come in like 3 months. Or, this one is my brother from my own side, so you jump the queue. And we need to stop all of that. We need to, this anyhowness that we have as Nigerians, as a country, it has to stop.
Well, we're all preaching the same gospel. We're all preaching the same gospel, and I know you have so much you want to say. We'll probably have to come back
100%.
Another time to talk about fake drugs, because it never ends.
It never ends.
Right? But right now, we need to start talking business, right? So I want to thank you, Princess, for coming on the show.